right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Celine Bilgin, and I'm here with Dr. John A. McDougall. So, John, you're a very well-recognized physician and really nutritionist who teaches better health through cuisine and a vegetarian diet. And I know you've been studying this work and writing, speaking, making massive movement in this field for over 30 years. And I know you and your wife believe that life is meant to be when you're looking good, you're feeling good, and really so that you can make your mission, your mark in the world. And that's really what I stand for as well. You are a true trailblazer. There are so many aspects that I would love to go over with you, with your work. And a lot of people may know you from one of your best-selling books, The Starch Solution, and among many other publications. So you also have the McDougall program, which is a 10-day live-in luxury retreat where people can actually experience miracles in their health. And there are many issues that people have on a daily basis that you help your patients heal. So, John, I'd love to, thank you. As I mentioned, I honor you. I respect, the work that you and your wife do. So it is truly an honor to have you here. So thanks for taking the time.
Well, let me give you some more enormity to it.
I would love that.
I've actually been in this business for half a century.
Half a century.
1968 I started. And for 40 years, I've done nothing but diet therapy. In other words, I've taken people who've been sick from dietary diseases and they have changed their diet. And right, many of them are miracles, no question about it. In fact, I would say the vast majority. And that would be from the patient's point of view and their doctors. I've taken care of, and this is, I think, my best asset, is that I've taken care of about 6,000 people in a live-in situation personally.
Wow.
I've taken care of 10,000 people myself,
wow.
Giving them direction as an outpatient or various ways. But as inpatients, I really get to watch what happens to them and take control. And I personally, as a doctor, as their doctor most of the time, help them through this journey, which is really quite simple. It's like anything you know how to do. If you're a good skier, you look at the next person, you go, I don't know why they can't ski like me. Once you learn something, it is quite simple. But of course, I've got 40 years of direct experience. And so even for people who work for me, they have a few things to learn from the old man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. And we have 13 national best-selling books. Mary and I do mostly together. And Mary's been my partner for 45 years, and we're still working hard and enjoying the 7 grandkids and trying to make a difference. The whole thing for us is the 7 grandkids. Every time I turn on the news or the newspaper or even consider the weather myself, I realize that my kids have no future, my grandkids, because of global warming. And gee whiz, that's probably in low perspective now with all the nuclear holocaust threats. But, it's a scary world to live in. And if we do get through the other problems facing people on planet Earth, then we're going to have to deal with our climate.
Yeah.
Which is now, really. It's really now. So that's why I get out of bed. We just got an invitation to Estonia, which is near Finland. I didn't even look it up. I think it used to be Yugoslavia. Anyway, that part of the European continent. We just got an invitation yesterday for Mary and I to go speak.
Wow.
First class tickets.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go because I've traveled enough. I can talk to you. I can talk to you in Finland or Estonia.
Yeah.
By the by Skype, and I told them I'd do that, just like for you, I'd do it for free. But no, they want to spend probably looks like $40,000-$50,000 to bring Mary and I over there.
Wow, what an honor! Yeah.
Well, I said I'm not going to do it. Even for your expenses and what it costs you to pay Mary and I. I'm not going to do it unless we're going to make a difference. And they claim, well, Estonia is a small country, and you have some of the strongest followers in the world in Estonia. And we have a lot of hot spots in the world that follow the Starch Solution. Many languages. And it seems to me like Europeans are way ahead of, health spas and vacations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Universal health care, taking care of people and so on.
Even
so I think it's a possibility. Now, if they can get it set up so I have some influence on the medical establishment, on the government, could make a difference, really get something, something serious behind me. I'm not going to go over there for a vacation. I've been to Europe enough. I'll go. Why? Because every morning I get out of bed and I say, now, how can I make the world a safer, better place for my grandkids? And well, maybe it won't make a lot of difference to change the food, but it will make the crucial difference to change the food. We can build all the electric cars we want. We can do all the solar heating we want. We can get all the solar batteries we want, but we're not going to solve the world's deterioration, climate problems, unless we fix the food, because the food is the major destroyer of the climate. And more importantly, it's the major controller of climate. Today, if we had an influence, say this Estonia president or maybe his friends from Finland or Russia or whatever, could come over, could get together and let me say what I have to say. And there's nobody who disagrees with me. It's just that they don't have the will to do it, and it's mainly a financial thing. The meat, dairy, egg industry, and the offshoot profits of those industries.
That's right.
See, they make their money, the meat, dairy, and egg industry. If it hurt the hospital industry, their means of making money, they'd stop that. They'd stop heart disease, and bypass surgery would never exist. If it hurt doctors, if doctors lost money because you were sick, change overnight. We change the diet overnight. And same thing with pharmaceutical companies, but all the money's in the direction of keeping you sick. Now, not that they purposely go, oh boy, let's keep them sick so you sell them another $2,000 worth of pills this year.
That's right.
They just go, look, we're in the business of selling pills. If you're too stupid to find out why you're sick, lazy, the problem, we're not going to help you. We're just going to sell you $2,000 worth of pills.
That's right. That's right.
It's not that you're too stupid or too disinterested in yourself. It's the fact that nobody told you. Why did nobody tell you? Well, nobody told you because there's no profit in it. Anyways, it's very simple. I'll get right to the chase because this is not where you wanted to go, I know.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect.
The problem is, and you can see it, if you just stop and open your eyes, especially any of you who are as old as I am, if you just stop and open your eyes, you can see what's happened to the world in the last 35 years. 35 years ago, there was virtually no type 2 diabetes in China. Extremely little type 1. Today, they brag 12% of the population is frankly diabetic and half are pre-diabetic. It's the same thing, I'm sure, in Estonia. It's the same thing I'm going to talk to. You can imagine if the Estonia government eliminated diabetes, which in the U.S. is a $330 billion a year business. You know what? They could be the richest country in Europe. Well, anyway, the problem is, and you've seen it if you're old enough or wise enough or read history or read the Bible or read the Quran or read scientific literature, or you had the chance to open your own eyes and see what's happened to you. What's happened is that people have changed their fuel drastically. Human beings are designed as starch eaters. Now, you got to get that straight, or the rest of our conversation is a waste of your time and mine. You have to understand that the human being has a diet designed for him or her child, grandparent, whatever, past weaning. And that diet is a diet based on starches, potatoes, like, for example, South America, for tens of thousands of years. It was potatoes. And then they moved potatoes in the 1700s to Europe, and it saved Europe, ended poverty in Europe. Potatoes, the introduction of potatoes, dramatically increased the population in Europe when potatoes were introduced. The staple in Asia, people think of rice.
Yeah.
And you think of China and rice and Japan and rice. Then they think, well, rice is of no value, especially white rice. And then if you stop and think, I mean, this is your information. I don't have to put it in your head. You think, well, my goodness, white rice eaters almost won World War II.
Yeah.
And they did win the Vietnam conflict. So you have a situation where 35 years ago, 90% of the people in the Far East, Thailand, Cambodia, China, Japan, 90% of people got their calories, let me say that again, 90% of the calories of people in those countries came from white rice. Now, you can do this in a little bit in Europe, a little bit in the US. We've changed earlier than that. You can see it in South America, so certainly Central America. Mexico City is considered the fattest city in the world. Whereas 35 years ago, everybody was trim, very little.
Increase, yeah. I mean, I even see like the leaky gut, colitis, Crohn's in people my age. It's incredible, John. You know, I mean, I always, it's funny. I sometimes am in my own world of like, no, like I feel good, I'm alive, and then I talk to people my age who experience these issues, and I'm thinking, what are you eating? What are you doing?
Well, they don't know any better, and then once they know better, then they say, well, I can't do that. That's too hard. Well, excuse me, pooping your pants with Crohn's disease 20 years ago, that's hard too. and being overweight and trying to be attractive. You may not think overweight is attractive. Most people don't.
No. Yeah.
You may be tired of being on one diet or next. You may be tired of being constipated. Women your age are getting breast cancer, early colon cancer. You're tired of stinking. Oh my God, just the smells that men and women have to deal with in terms of their sexual encounters. You know, to be lovable, you must change the way you smell. You must buy perfumes and deodorants and, you know, anything to cover up the stink.
Industry upon industry, it's just layers upon layers, like even gum, deodorants, you know?
So you got to stop and think what it's trying to cover up.
Yeah.
What it's trying to cover up is the animal food. Your body stink, the disattractiveness of your sexually and also platonically. The attractiveness of your body is affected by how you smell, and the most foul smell of the human being is sulfur compounds. And animal foods are loaded with sulfur. Beef has 4 times more than beans, and tuna fish has 12 times more than sweet potatoes. So if you want to stop stinking, and you can't cover it up even with the most expensive perfume, the guys and girls will notice when you get close. So don't even try and cover it up. If you want to get rid of that, then just change your food. So that, and of course, a lot of people your age and some people my age are trying to win athletic events. I mean, marathon and triathlon winners since 1968 in the top 4 places worldwide since 1968 have been Ethiopians and Kenyans who live on the McDougall diet, basically. It's a diet of corn, fruit, vegetables, and if you read Runner's magazines, you'll see that they attribute the diet of the athletic competitors of these Ethiopians and Kenyans to their diet. The same thing if you go to northwest Mexico, to the Tajamari running Indians. The best runners in the world still competing.
Plant-based.
Yeah, well, they corn. It's real important, since you mentioned it, that we stop using the word plant-based because it leads people in the wrong direction. It must be starch-based. Yes, the diet I eat is vegan. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it should be, but it doesn't have to be to get the results. But it pretty much has to be, otherwise you can't do it, because you put one piece of pepperoni pizza in front of you and you're dead meat.
Say more about that, about plant-based versus starch-based.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it for a minute. A plant-based diet could be Coats and potato chips.
Right.
A plant-based diet could be nuts and seeds and avocados.
Right.
And you'd end up fat and greasy.
Right.
A plant-based diet could be broccoli, cauliflower, sprouts, kale, and you would starve to death in 3 or 4
Right. Right.
So you must, when somebody says you must eat a whole food plant-based diet, you go, well, I'm not quite sure what that is.
Right.
I had some more kale and broccoli and don't feel so good. And it's because they didn't teach you must get the bulk of your calories from starch or you won't be satisfied. You won't get the proper balance of vitamins and minerals and proteins, etc. The energy you need to win a triathlon. Starch is different than vegetables. Starches are high carbohydrate, high calorie storage organs, like corn and wheat and barley and potatoes and sweet potatoes and beans and peas and lentils.
Right.
Starch is not kale, is not cauliflower. And if you try and live on those, which a lot of sincerely intent people are to get their health and their appearance back, they go, I can't do this.
Right.
Well, of course you can't do this. Nobody can do that.
Starving.
So it must be starch-based. And when people ask how much starch, I say, sit back, look at your plate. About 90% of what you see, eyeball, weigh it, must be starch. Should be potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, your favorite grains, etc. And that doesn't have, not necessarily plain. You can make delicious soups. Oh, Mary made a soup for us actually 4 days ago, a bean soup. It was great then, but we had it again last night. And I'll tell you, I told her, we were debating against having, some other kinds of soups or maybe potatoes and broccoli, which we do sometimes. But she warmed up that soup. That was the tastiest soup you can imagine, based on starch, beans, and grains, and no animal foods, no oils, a little spices, a little bit of salt. And I'll tell you, even the most hardcore carnivore, if I could pick their favorite spices, they have favorite spices, and put it in that soup, they'd say, I could live on this the rest of my life, and I would get trim and healthy, and my bowels would start working, and you'd go away, the oily skin would go away. What a price to pay. Just that one soup, and by the way, you could live on that soup and water the rest of your life, so it doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, you had mentioned too, even in the Depression, there were many countries that lived off of potatoes. Right? I don't know if you could live, we're just talking, you live off of broccoli or live off of, like avocados. But why is it then? And I'm asking more so for people listening, why is it that we have so many different venues? It's almost religious of like, no, it must be raw, it must be, grain-free, paleo. Where does that all come from? And I get that there's funding in different directions following the money, but what is your opinion on this? And not just...
I think there's a lot of ignorant people, first of all. They decide they're going to be a healthcare professional and guide people to better health. And what's their training? Well, they're a gym instructor at the local health club.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are certified, like medical doctors and dietitians, who have virtually no training in human nutrition. And then there are people who are very smart about the research. They've read a lot of scientific papers, and they put sometimes the correct theory together, sometimes not, but they've never seen any patients. Right. Like I say, my strongest asset is I've taken care of 10,000 people, me.
Well, that's just, that's not including your books, the bill that you co-authored and the rice. And that's just personally direct.
A lot of things. So anyway, why does the wrong idea come about? If you just stop and think, all of your listeners, if you just stop and replay this particular quote I'm going to make and think of it over and over again and challenge everybody that believes or doesn't believe with this quote. And that is that all large, civilized populations of people throughout all of verifiable history have obtained the bulk of their calories from starch. Mayans and Aztecs are known as the people of the corn. We talked about the people in South America, like the Incas living on potatoes and sometimes quinoa. And we've talked about the Asians living on rice. And the American Indian living on corn, and it just goes on and on. You can't find me a single population, large civilized population of people that have ever lived on anything but starch, except for the disaster that's happened over the last 150 years with fossil fuel.
Yeah.
And all the wealth that we have. We've been able to change all of nature's rules. Anyway, just think about that. Who has ever lived on anything but a rice-based, corn-based, sweet potato-based diet? Oh, you say kings and queens. They gave up the rice and corn. They fed it to chickens and pigs, and they also remember what they looked like. They looked like Americans. Or, it's just so dumbfounded, stupid, simple that eating rich food 3 times a day will make people fat and sick. And now it's gotten into the billions. Say we have 7 billion people on planet Earth. Probably 4 billion of them, at least 4 billion, are being affected by diseases caused by eating like kings and queens. And of course, it's not just their terrible health, which is all of type 2 diabetes, all of heart disease, coronary disease, all of colon cancer, probably all of breast and prostate cancer, at least indirectly. Essentially, I told my chief of medicine back when I graduated from an internal medicine residency in 1976. A long time ago. I walked into his office after I had my certificate, that I was a board certified internist, and I said that 80% of the diseases that I see as an internist, doctor, chief, boss, who could have fired me and kept me from being a functional doctor, but you didn't, you gave me my degree. 80% of people I see, their diseases are caused by the food, and close to that many, they would be dramatically benefited or cured. Well, I thought that just knowing that and the information being so clear and honest and without question except by liars. There's a whole bunch of liars out there that now I can identify them as sayers of alternative facts and makers of fake news. I never understood about lying. I'm learning about lying. There are a whole bunch of liars out there and ignorant people out there that will say things that are absolutely untrue, contradicted by every religious writing ever done.
Right.
The Bible, be it Hindu religions, be it, you're talking about thousands of years of history. You're talking about consistent scientific research. If you don't get the manipulators in there, drug and the food companies that change the research to fit their needs, which is advertisement, there's no disagreement. There's no discomfort. There is a diet for human beings. That diet is starch-based with the addition of fruits and vegetables. Whether it should ever include any animal foods or not, I've taken the stand it shouldn't. You take the stand it should, but there's always a little bit. The reason I take the stand it shouldn't is, well, there are lots of reasons. Stopping global warming, cruelty, but it's human behavior. Humans cannot do a little bit.
Right.
That's why your friends who are vegan are radical vegans, because they find that they can't be just starch-based eaters with an occasional this or that. They really have to take total enthusiasm for their cause. And I don't criticize this. That's just human nature. Just like a smoker. I used to be a smoker. Boy, I've been the most enthusiastic, radical smoker for the last 10 years. Or, that's the way people are, is once they get cured, of course, they want everybody cured. So your efforts are great. Those of you pushing the vegan movement. It's not going to succeed unless you make it a starch-based vegan movement, because nobody's going to follow it. And plus, you cannot support the world on avocado trees.
No.
You let loose all of the agriculture in the world, you're not going to get enough calories to support 7 billion people off of nut trees or off of asparagus or off of, it's just impossible. The only foods you can get it off of are starch, which, by the way, if we switch to starch, would provide as many as 17 times more calories and essential nutrients. And there are estimates that switching from beef to potatoes is 100-fold change in environmental impact.
Wow.
Overnight, we could do that, overnight. So anyway, I just want to just summarize so we can get that last of your questions.
Yeah.
Your listeners, you kind of told me were from all different aspects of life.
That's right.
Parents, workers.
Yep. Youth. Yep. Yep.
We all have one thing in common, and that is, we want ourselves and our communities and our families and our world to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to argue there. So if you want to throw out all the other arguments of all the other diets, like low carb, like the Atkins, grain bread,
right,
wheat belly, you want to just say they made you as healthy as possible. Those diets are killing the planet. We're going to see the planet go up in hellfire before, well, anyway, it's just a disaster what they're doing, feeding people this high stock diet. So, if you just stop there and say, well, maybe I'd be more healthier and thinner, and maybe my hemorrhoids would stick out a little bit further and shiny. If you like shiny, sticking out hemorrhoids, if I ate this low carb diet, but I'm destroying the future for my kids.
Right.
You should stop right there and rethink what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Or most of you are sensitive enough. I know I wasn't at one time because I was growing up with a typical American philosophy.
Right.
Everything and anything that stands before you, even though I didn't like it. I didn't like the chicken and I didn't like the beef. I hated the fish. I knew I had to eat it, and I found enough sauces to cover it up so I could get it down. Even as where I am now, where I came from, didn't bother me a bit killing a cow or a pig or chicken. I was part of it.
And growing up in the 70s, there's, people are still eating the Jell-O and the instant. That's when all the instant food starts coming out, right? So I was curious too. I mean, I know you did your studies and you're looking at Hawaii, for the different generational gaps and their health. Did you have to find I really see it as you found your own way into starches and really understanding that this is the key for optimal health. And then on that too, there is, what is your thoughts on gluten-free, gluten, wheat, all of that right now?
Okay. Well, you're talking, two completely different subjects. The first question everybody ought to be asking, the human being can live on lots, a half a bottle of whiskey, 2 packs of cigarettes a day, hot dogs and bacon. The human being is an amazing survivor. But you need to ask yourself, what's the optimal diet to keep my family and my community healthy?
On the planet, yeah.
Yeah, the diet is, by the reasons I told you and many other. In fact, if you read last month's newsletter, July 2017, I tell you the reasons you should not argue about what is the right diet. My July 2017 McDougall newsletter. And it'll show you the experiences I had, which would, if you had similar experiences and your eyes were open to those, you would never go down the trail of low carb, high protein, Atkins, grain brain, belly, kill the animals, kill the earth diet. So anyway, you know how I feel about those diets. As far as gluten-free, fewer than 1% of the population, maybe 1 in 256 of the Western population, has gluten sensitivity or gluten intolerance or really something called celiac disease or herpetitis. I'm not going to try to say it. The skin condition, dermatitis pediformis. Fewer than 1% of you have that. Yet 40% of you are out there looking for the solution to your health problems by buying gluten-free cakes and cookies.
Totally. Yeah.
So, you're following the wrong problem. And as a result, you're distracting your attention and the world's attention from what needs to be solved, which is killing the planet, killing the people by eating the livestock.
Yeah.
Natural or farm-raised livestock. We're eating the planet to death. So, I started out, by the way, just to get us on track, I started out all of this 40 years ago with only an interest in my patients. I didn't understand the planet. I didn't understand the cruelty to animals. I had no sympathy at all. But as time went on, my understanding evolved as I really got a better idea of the picture. Some of you are coming from the point of view of just animal rights. Or maybe you've discovered that your children and grandchildren maybe have a few years left, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do something about it. You've figured out that food is something you can change right now. Maybe you haven't decided this really has something to do with your health. And right now you're preaching to the community about not killing animals and saving the planet. And if you're not looking the part,
yeah.
in other words, you're not healthy yourself, you're trim and healthy and looking the part, you're wasting your time. They're not going to listen to you. So I would ask all of us to get behind all three pillars of importance. And that's what I mentioned, the livestock,
Mm-hmm.
the environment. For me, it's the environment. Probably people is still next. And then the livestock. But there are days that I have not so pleasant encounters with people, and I put livestock ahead.
I got that.
Just joking. But I think, no question in my mind, the environment needs all of the attention.
Right, because I mean, nothing, the people or the livestock or the food wouldn't matter if we don't have the planet, right?
I think some of us have figured that out.
Yeah. So lastly, John, I would just love to ask you if you could, somebody listening to this now can take action by going to the grocery store. What can they do today?
Well, what I would ask people to do is to take advantage of Mary and I, our half a century of work. We were given this great gift, Mary and I were, almost 50 years ago. I was dying. You can read about my history. Not important.
Mm.
I mean, it's important, but we were given this great gift. And from that time on, in addition to the fact that it was a difficult sell to get people to eat better, we decided to give it away free.
Mm.
So if you go to my website, drmcdougall.com, drmcdougall.com, you'll be shocked. Everything's free.
A lot of information.
There are 3 lectures that Mary and I gave that all you have to do is spend 3 hours listening to them. It'll all make sense to you. I can't, unless you come in with a horrible bias. And you've already, and many of us have done that, already determined what we're going to believe at the end of the conversation. And you're going to come out massively swayed. I have a colored picture book.
Yes.
24 languages. So you can have your friends in India and China and Korea read this. And you'll understand exactly what the problem is. You don't even have to read it. You just look at the pictures. And I have videos like this one, I'm sure will be freely accessed to people. We have probably 200 really important videos, maybe more. But they're all free.
Articles, publications, you have a plethora of information for people out there.
Yeah, we have newsletters every month, and we have things that we have to make a living, Mary and I do. So we run weekends. The next one is September, I think mid-September 2017, where our whole staff just gets together with 100 or 200 of you folks, and we just teach you the diet, feed you the food, teach you the diet. That's the cheapest in terms of expense. Where you can learn about it, other than getting it free. It's all free on the website as far as personal contact. And then we also run 10-day programs, which we start on Friday, so a week from today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sold out. There are like over 56 people, and we really shouldn't. We can't take any more than that. And then we run 10-day programs. There are ways to keep in contact with us. We have books that you can buy at the bookstore. Use bookstore for 25 cents. Or you can get the brand new best-selling book from Amazon.
Yes.
For $16.
I'll be posting all the links in the description below as well.
So what I would tell them, I hate to be egocentric, but I have to say, look, Mary and I put 40 years into this, totally dedicated. We haven't changed our mind a bit. You'd really be tough to find something we changed our mind on in 40 years. And you could say that's just because we're stubborn. But it could be because we're right. and also because we love the results that our patients give, our clients. And we love to be thanked.
Mm-hmm.
People come up to me all the time and they'll say, Dr. McDougall, I'm sure you're tired of hearing this. I go, no, I'm not.
That's so great to hear that.
Yeah, I say, well, I had horrible rheumatoid arthritis. I was bedridden, or they'll show me a picture and they'll go, "Oh, that's three of you. There's one of you, and here's three of you." And of course they won't think and I hear that several times a day. They think I got tired of it. No, I love to hear it, and you will too when you help other people change. It's nothing's more rewarding in life than to help others.
It's so true, and I see that in whether it's personal development. I see big food as personal development. It's like that contribution is that missing link, I think, to life. If people are not going up there, getting out of bed, and like, how can I help somebody else today? Like you wake up every morning, like as you just had mentioned.
Yeah.
So
we do. We think about ways that we can. Just like I say, I got this invitation 2 days ago to. I don't want to go to Europe. I can't tell you. To see sights, to travel. You wouldn't get me to leave my property right here. But if I had a chance, and believe me, there's going to be meetings set and everything to talk to influential people in Estonia, I'll go. As the inviter said, and these, I guess, are very powerful people in Estonia, they said, this is a chance to change one country, a whole country. You get a chance to change. They're going to be there to listen to you. And if we can change one country, then other countries will listen. I said, okay, well, let's make it happen. If they can make it happen if I don't just end up there talking to a neighborhood crowd of to-be vegans, which I'm happy to do, but free by Skype. If I could, Mary and I can really make a difference, we'll get our sorry you-know-whats on an airplane. And we'll fly over there and we'll tell them anything, as much as they want, as often as they want. But I can't talk to people who don't want to hear me anymore.
I imagine that there is a lot of challenges and even backlash that you've experienced. But then, John, the people that hear the truth and live it, feel it, see it, and you see people that are like, again, that are going to your immersion programs that go through, we expect that, you have Crohn's, it's going to be lifetime. Arthritis, it's lifetime. And then people go to your immersion programs, they don't have the arthritis because it's their lifestyle. These are all lifestyle. And you said 80% as through food.
Yeah, we see these diseases that you know about, like Crohn's and psoriasis.
Mm-hmm.
And rheumatoid arthritis that you know so much about right now are because of commercials, particularly, on 60 Minutes and your
even YouTube now,
cable TV,
yeah.
YouTube, the commercials that advertise relentlessly drugs that just for the drug alone, like to treat MS, multiple sclerosis, which is one of these classes of drugs, is $75,000 a year. Now, with that kind of profit from these drugs, why do you think everybody knows about Crohn's today and psoriasis? It's not because you need to know about this because it's a public health hazard. You need to know about this because we need more customers.
That's right.
And that's all there is to it. It's just like diabetes. January 2017, I wrote a really important landmark article on the scams from the diabetes industry.
Yeah.
These people are criminals.
Yeah.
They're going to use criminal behavior with the drugs, the multiple aggressive treatments. They're killing you. And the science says so, but they won't stop. Why? Well, because the drugs cost often $300 a month.
That's right.
And diabetes treatment is, I think per person about $23,000, maybe $35,000 a year per person in the U.S. This is a really big business, and you're only going to stop it by a big reaction. And just like, we stopped the mobsters during the Prohibition era in the U.S. It was in the 20s. There was alcohol. We have the war, but we lost that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we won the cigarette industry. We beat those suckers.
Cigarette? Yeah.
Cigarettes, we beat them, so to speak. We dropped cigarette smoking from 50 to 20%. this issue of food is so much more important than alcohol and tobacco for everybody, individuals as well as the planet, that we should be able to do this.
You know, and it's conversations like these, it's embodiment. I mean, I'm learning on my own too. Obviously, one of the biggest reasons, because I've had my own challenges that I navigate. I'm like, what is the truth? And then the more that I implement, I see it. And then, of course, like you said, you know, people, when you start to embody it, people say, thank you, or I want to know more, or whatever it is. It's that 100th monkey syndrome. It's that ripple effect. And it really is.
It's nice to deal with the truth.
Yeah. And
to have to deal with lies, which happens to be the number one topic today in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Lies and liars and alternative truths and fake news.
Yeah.
So really, I'll be very honest. It's only over the last 2 years that I learned about lying. You know, the rest of my 68 years and 70 years in life, the rest of my 70 years, I thought people were honest. Isn't that amazing? Well, how naive, how naive I was. I shouldn't have been raised with that kind of naive. I shouldn't have been raised that way by honest parents. I should have been raised, watch for the next crook. They're right around the corner. I wasn't raised that way, see, so I never knew what was going to happen.
I get that. I have the same naiveness in that sense, because I do believe that it's like the ultimate truth is a pure heart. And I really I know that I have to navigate through knowing that, being very considerate that not everybody is going to be like that. Most people are not going to be like that.
Well, we're not going to let them do it because they're destroying our planet, and that's it.
That's right.
Get out of our way.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much.
It's good to talk to you.
I appreciate your authenticity, your honesty, your humor and truth, the work that you're doing. It's making a huge impact. So thank you so much for your time.
Let's all hope so. And I just send a strong suggestion to all of us, is we have a very tiny army. We need all the help we can get.
That's right.
And this is a war worth winning.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, spread the good news.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you, and thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.